Good morning, everyone. We're going to be starting in a couple of minutes, and would like to ask the speakers to try to keep the time so we can have a very nice discussion afterwards. We're looking forward to discussing all the subjects.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of all of us. Welcome to the sections of IMCAS 2026 because, in order to be here in this floor, what is your experience? I think this is the first time that they use this floor. It's quite beautiful. But we have to find a way. That is our energizer for our longevity because we have to practice something that's strength from normal days. See, and we have to wait and queue up on the lift to come here. So that is great experience. So we might just start with our sections. Yes.
Yes, welcome to our session that is about the aging beyond the aesthetic. Today it's not just the aesthetic or only the beauty, but this is from the internal, from external. So we have so many speakers today that I think we should start now. And the first speaker, she is from dermatologist from India, Dr. Mukha Sachdev. So, yeah, she will talking about the neuro cosmetic and the longevity 2026. Please welcome Dr. Mukha.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to everybody. So, okay, we got this up. Good. So, neurocosmetics and longevity. These are words that you will be hearing over the next 3 days. So, I'm going to do it slightly differently and talk about practical longevity, an aesthetic blueprint to how can you utilize longevity as we go along in your practice. So, earlier, preservation of regenerative capacity, and we combined procedures with biologic and lifestyle modulation. But what is the Dermatology 2026 focus? It is predict, prevent, and preserve. So, skin longevity, what does it mean? What does it mean to us as practicing derms? It's very easy to keep saying this word, longevity, but what does it mean to you? So the structure, the function of the skin, and the resilience of the skin. So it's not just about aesthetics. It is a shift from the anti-aging to the health span of the skin. It is barrier function. It is skin immunity. And it is ECM, extracellular matrix quality. So the skin is the frontier longevity organ. The skin is the only organ where aging is visible, it's modifiable, and it is repeatedly treated. So we're at the front line of longevity medicine. Skin aging is a system failure. So what does that mean? It means that skin aging is not just a single pathway. It is a system failure. It's a failure of the barrier. It's a failure of the immunity, the ECM, and a failure of cellular resilience. So clinical relevance, this is my thing. What do we do today? What can we implement in practice? So longevity in action. Sound biology, good medicine, thoughtful innovation, responsible adoption of emerging therapies, including exosomes. So if I had to give you the longevity treatment pyramid foundation, you have the emerging technologies, the exosomes, future cell therapies. You have evidence-based interventions, retinoids, lasers, biostimulators. You have barrier optimization, photoprotection, and inflammation control. And then you, of course, have lifestyle, sleep, nutrition, and lifestyle. sleep, exercise, and nutrition. AI and technology should sit at the top, not at the bottom. So we are going to help to redefine beauty outcomes. 5 things we can do tomorrow. Number 1 is treat inflammation proactively. Number 2 is protect and restore the barrier function. Number 3, promote lifestyle as skin medicine. Number 4, use AI diagnostics thoughtfully. And number 5, adopt regenerative technologies responsibly. These are the things that you need to take home and integrate into your practice. So, choose treatments that improve cell behavior, not just volume. Cellular and molecular targets that matter clinically. What is new and what's usable in practice? If you have a senescent cell burden, you have increased aging cells, xenomorphics, senolytics, topicals, and energy-based modulation. You're looking at mitochondrial fitness. What can you do in practice? NAD support, redox balance, and photobiomodulation. How do you control inflammaging or inflammation of the skin? Low-grade chronic inflammation is a key driver of skin aging. Extracellular matrix longevity, what do you need to look at? You need to look at collagen quality, you need to look at elastin protection, and you need to look at glycation control. Therefore, what do you need to do in practice? You need to do less correction and you need to do more regeneration. So biostimulation 2.0, diluted, layered, and preventive protocols. It's not just about filling anymore. You're looking at biostimulation, you're looking at skin booster injections, hybrid injectables. You're looking at hyaluronic acids which have been fortified, which have bioactive complexes. So therefore, your focus needs to be skin quality over lifting. Energy-based devices, what do you need to do in practice? You need to do lower fluences. You need to do repeated sessions for cellular signaling. Combination sequencing, devices, injectables, topicals. You need to choose well and you need to do repeated sessions, lower fluences, modulate the skin. That needs to be the focus. What else can you do? Recovery first energy devices. You don't want to be ablating the skin, especially the skin in our part of the world. Biostimulation is for skin quality. Remember that, not volume. Your barrier repair, very important before regeneration. So longevity protocols, they favor microdosing, they favor repetition, and they favor synergy. Dermatology beyond the syringe. What do you need to look at? You need to look at barrier-first skincare. So I'm talking about repair of skin barrier, microbiome-friendly formulations, lipid repair strategies. You need to look at active longevity topicals. What does that mean? It means retinoid alternatives, epigenetics, actives, peptides. Look for the evidence and choose these topicals as part of your skincare. What else? The Nutri-Cosmetics. You need to look at the oral supplements, oral collagen peptides, polyphenols, omegas, and the omega-3 balance, which has been so strongly proven. Of course, lifestyle counseling, which will be covered by one of the speakers later in the session, but sleep, UV timing, glycemic control, stress, these are all integral parts of longevity. So topicals, nutrition, and lifestyle integration. The neurocosmetics, how do they fit in? So these are not a cosmetic trend. They are a pillar of healthy skin aging. So along with your xenotherapeutics, along with your inflammaging control, along with mitochondrial optimization and regenerative aesthetics, you now have neurocosmetics. So the neurocosmetics will offer better skin resilience, an enhanced quality of life. We know that the stress accelerates aging. We know that neurocosmetics relieve the stress. So you've got all of these, okay? You've got increased cortisol, oxidative stress, barrier dysfunction, and increased collagen degradation, which will give you premature aging. So the stress, the brain, the longevity. I spoke about this in the last session. They're all related. Antioxidants, sunscreen, and the regenerative procedures. So if I had to put it in a sentence, healthy aging is now about preserving neurocosmetic or neurocutaneous homeostasis. The neurocosmetics are anti-inflammaging tools. I am going to show you that the emerging neurolongevity ingredients, what are they? They are the peptides, palmitoyl tripeptide, the acetyl tetrapeptide, the Centella asiatica, you've got ectoin, CBD, and you have the CBD derivatives and the adaptogens. These are your neurocosmetics. For the industry, it is now a reality check, okay? From the hero products, we're looking now to platforms. From claims, we are now looking at long-term skin behavior. So the biological clock, you would have heard this in any longevity talk. Everybody talks about the biological clock or the epigenetic clock. Measurement alone will not change the outcome. From genetic risk to biological function to aesthetic outcome, longevity is now becoming visible. So now all of you have to become longevity aesthetic experts. What does that mean? It means that you are not a technician, but you're a systems thinker, and you're a biological translator. You're now the visionary, because you are at the forefront of the skin. And I told you that the skin is the longevity organ. So youthful skin may not be the least wrinkled. Youthful skin is the most resilient. Resilient skin, predictable aging. The current model of injectables, lasers, energy-based devices, and topicals. What else? What is the future model? This is the future model. Neurocosmetics, psychodermatology, lifestyle medicine, precision longevity, potential future biomarkers. This is what the longevity expert needs to know. You've got other variables which were not part of our training. You've got the cortisol variability. You've got the heart rate variability. You have the neuroinflammatory biomarkers. You have skin stress biomarkers. And you've got emotional well-being scores. When you went to dermatology school, you didn't learn any of this. This needs to be learned and integrated into your practice. So what's your new end point? Your new end point is not how old does the skin look, but how long can the skin function optimally? So in conclusion, longevity is not a new procedure. It's a new way of thinking. For 3 decades, dermatologists have helped patients look younger. But for the next 3 decades, we have opportunities to help patients age better, not by chasing every technology, not by believing every claim. But the future of dermatology will not be defined by who can make the patients look the youngest, but by who can help the skin remain healthy, resilient, and functional for the longest. So you are now the visionaries and the longevity experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Okay.
much for your informative lectures.
I have a question. You had some very interesting concepts of psychodermatology and the cell behavior. I think you need to explain it a little better. There are new concepts, and maybe you want to say just a couple of words before we move on. No, I cannot give you an hour, but I can give you 2
I can
minutes.
give you the lowdown.
Just very,
Okay.
very briefly to
So-
explain your concept.
If I had to give you, in a gist, when you are integrating a new procedure, whether it's an exosome, whether it's a skin booster, whether it's a neurocosmetic, look at the evidence. I will tell you that these are the hardest things to measure. The simple skin studies that are done to say, okay, 10x better anti-aging, that is not a longevity study. You look for biomarkers. Has the collagen increased? Has a biopsy been done? Have the biomarkers been measured? That will give you some clear indication of whether or not there's real evidence behind any treatment that you are looking to integrate.
Rather than advertising and marketing.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So, we will keep a Q&A at the end of the session more because we have just a limit of time. So our next speaker, it's my great pleasure to introduce our Assistant Professor Dr. Suvirakon Thamasak. She is a board-certified dermatologist from Institute of Dermatology, Thailand, and she has very expertise in the dermatology and aesthetic medicine. Today, she will present an insightful lecture with the Inhaling Aging, Why Your Rejuvenation Treatment Might Be Failing. So please welcome Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Suvirakon Thamasak ค่ะ
Thank you for kindly introduce me. Today I will talk in another way of the aging. It's the inhaling aging. Why your rejuvenation treatment might be failure. I have no conflict of interest to declare. My outline is what is the inhalation and aging, and scientific evidence of the smoker phase, mechanism of cigarette and skin health, debunking e-cigarette claim of reduced side effect, mechanism of e-cigarette and skin aging, and comparing skin change in cigarette and e-cigarette, and skin recover after we stop smoking. Nowadays, we have do many energy-based device, injectable or surgery to make rejuvenation, but if we don't think about the external cause, patient lifestyle is very important, and they will limit rejuvenation. As we know, the causing of aging, they have an intrinsic aging and extrinsic aging. For the extrinsic, we have already known about the UV is very important, and the diet and the stress. And another is the inhaling, like the pollution and the smoking. In my topic, I will talk about the smoking, because now they have many patient or the lady or gentleman have more smoking, and now they change the lifestyle from traditional smoking to e-smoking. You can see the adult 18 to 24 years have a trend to use the e-smoking. Now we have many literature proof that smoking have the effect to the skin. For the smoker phase, for the smoker phase, if the patient have a short term, sometimes they have a brittle hair, more pimple, have a high risk of the acne and pale skin, and because of worse perfusion, and have a yellow teeth and have a nicotine tar and stain. And for the long term, as we know at the smoker phase, have the smoker get, the patient have a baldness, have the smoker line, have a tight look, sucking skin, and have a more wrinkle. It's 5 times more wrinkle than non-smoker. This is the evidence of the smoking. This in the Ohio they have a Twins Day. They compare with the one to no smoking and another is smoking. They have seen easily that smoking causes aging skin. And do you know what the difference of between effect of the cigarette and e-cigarette on the skin health? Anybody know? I think it's very interesting. For the skin health and smoking, both smoking and vaping trigger the same aging pathway in the mean of the collagen reduction, blood flow restriction, and chronic inflammation. Then the nicotine causes the same in the traditional smoke and e-smoking. For the collagen and elastin degradation, nicotine and vape chemical trigger enzymes that break down essential protein, leading to the structural weakening of skin sagging and deep wrinkle. Collagen synthesis reduced by 80 to 22% in smoker, and enzyme MMP1 have a more activate that cause the collagen breakdown, and nicotine directly damage the fibroblast cells. So both smoking and vapor produce similar protein damage. For another mechanism is vasoconstriction and oxygen deprivation. Nicotine is the potent vasoconstriction, and they narrow blood all the body, not only the skin, but it's all the body. They reduce blood flow to facial skin up to 40%, and limit oxygen and essential nutrient delivery. Then the skin cells tough and difficult to repair, so they create the dull and grayish complexion. Another pathway is oxidative stress and free radical. Both smoking and vapor generate excess free radical that attack the healthy skin. The heat from the e-liquid of the vapor produce the free radical, and tobacco smoking produce volatile compound that make free radical. Natural antioxidant become overwhelmed. Cellular repair mechanism have failed. For perioral and wrinkle, and that called the smoker line. When the patient smoke, they have the pursing. When they have the sucking, they have produce the line. At first, it's temporary, but for the nicotine breakdown, the collagen and elastin support structure, the vertical line become permanently, and they call the smoker line. The risk of the smoker line is increased to 0.7 compared to the non-user. For the eye area, the aging they have called the crawl face. Because the skin around the eye is very delicate, so that damage first. For the chronic irritation from the smoke or vapor trigger the constant squeezing, and nicotine consists the blood vessel, reduce oxygen to the thin eye, the skin periorbital, and repeat muscle contraction create permanent expression line. And another is have a dark circle developed from the poor circulation to toxin build up. The eye wrinkle appear 10 to 15 years earlier in smoker and vapor compared to non-smoking. In the vapor specific dermatologic list, this one is the extra damage from the normal smoking, because it's one have an allergic contact dermatitis. In the vapor or the e-cigarette, they have the coil, the nickel coil, and they have the oil and the fragrance like the cinnamic aldehyde. This one can cause allergic contact dermatitis. And another is chemical irritation. They have the propylene glycol that make the skin dehydration, and e-liquid spirits create the barrier dysfunction. And worsening exists condition that the patient have, such as eczema or rosacea, and psoriasis too. And another is the device have the heat So sometimes they have thermal burn from the battery overheating, chemical burn from the device explosion, and most common area that have a burn is lower limb and in the pocket placement. They have evidence that in the vapor-specific dermatology, they have a chemical dehydration because they have the solvent, have a propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin act as the powerful humectant in the skin, have vapor, and this called transdermal water loss has increased. And they have evidence that they have immune suppression. They have evidence that the vapor suppress gene 358 immune delayed gene compared to 53 gene with the smoking. This suppress the colony stimulation factor 1, leaving skin barrier high to microbial dysbiosis and severe acneiform eruption. And another is heating coil release the nickel, cobalt, and lead that produce oxidative stress, and they have sometimes have cytokine storm, so they have a severe allergic reaction. This compare the smoker phase to the vape phase. For the traditional cigarette, for the combustion, the primary toxin is tar, carbon monoxide, and polyaromatic hydrocarbon. The dominant mechanism is the hypoxia and enzymatic matrix degradation. The key aesthetic marker is deep perioral rhytids or smoker line and gray complexions. And for injectable, they decrease collagen scaffold for the filler. For the e-cigarette, the caused by aerosol. The propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin, acrolein, nickel, formaldehyde is the primary toxin. The action is for the hygroscopic dehydration and inflammatory gene suppression. The key aesthetic marker is severe barrier dysfunction, premature periorbital wrinkle, and acneiform eruption. For the injectable, they accelerate HA degradation due to profile tissue dehydrate and inflammation. For all of both, in the normal cigarette, they have the combustion and an aerosol with the e-cigarette. That both the rejuvenation failure, that for the dermal filler, they have a filler will short period because they're easily to break down. And for biostimulator, like the PLLA, CAHA, they have a regenerative biostimulator. Fibroblasts require abundance of oxygen to generate collagen type 1, but the nicotine have vasoconstriction, so biostimulator cannot do effectively. For the laser resurface, they have suppressed immune gene and enhanced platelet aggregation. They increase risk in delayed reepithelialize, so they have increased incidence of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and sometimes have dangerous flapping necrosis. If the patient stops smoking, what is the recovery time? If stop for 24 hours, vascular have rebound, so skin have more blood vessel. For 1 month, cellular turnover is recovered. They have oxygen delivery, and to the dermis, they have a natural cell cycle return. And for the 6 months, structural smoothing, like the MMP enzyme, is come back, so skin is better. But if a long term, stop all the lifetime, the collagen matrix rebuilds and skin firm come back to firmly and elasticity and have a biological radiance. For take-home message, smoking cigarette and e-cigarette both make the skin aging. It's the same. E-cigarettes are not safer than the cigarette. E-cigarette has more dangerous than traditional cigarette due to chemical irritation, thermal risk, and heavy metal accumulation and contact dermatitis. The effect of smoking can recover after stop smoking. So, before you do every procedure, you should advise the patient to stop smoking first. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. What an excellent lecture. And actually, the free radicals break DNA, so they affect all the proteins, like
Yes.
about 200 million of them. So it's
So I have a quick questions for you. That is, you suggest to stop before and then after. So are there any difference between the procedures? Some procedure that will affect the skin barrier function, or some procedure is about the collagen remodeling or modulations. Do you
I
have
think
any
all
suggestions?
of the procedures should stop smoking because mechanism is a vasoconstriction, and they have a free radical, and they have the inhibit the enzyme of the collagen. If we would like to have more collagen, we should suggest every procedure before and after, and if possible, lifetime stopping.
Thank you very much.
So what I would like to do is that I'm chair how to stop smoking. Actually, it's difficult to stop smoking because it's psychosocial. So it depends on the one who smoke. In the past 20 years ago, I learned acupuncture. So I have to get the patient to go to the dentist to clean the mouth in order to forget the smell of the smoke. And also have to give the acupuncture very high frequency, 50,000 hertz, in order to stop smoking. And it worked. But nowadays it's easy for me because I have another focused pulse electromagnetic field therapy. Within 2 sessions, I can stop smoking. I don't have to send the patient to the dentist. So, and for the foreigner, for the Western, it's easier. But for the Thai people, it's more difficult because the Thai is attached to psychosocial. When they stop smoking and they go to friends, and the friends, and then they return. So for Thai people, I need double treatment than the Western.
I have another idea about how you stop smoking. You just do.
That you can, Sanya can, somebody can. I tell you what, very personally, my mom smoking 20 cigarettes a day. So when my brother can enter the university, they bet. If the entrance is success, if mom not stop smoking, mom have to pay. But because she's so confident, she stopped right away, and then she doesn't have to pay 200,000. That is 30, 40 years ago.
That's an excellent idea.
Okay, the next speaker is about the longevities. May I invite Dr. Diane Irwin Duncan. She will talk about the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis optimizing your circadian rhythm. Please welcome Dr. Diane.
Good to see you. We're looking forward to it. Okay, well, hopefully it will be helpful. But maybe not as helpful as your So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming and joining us today. Today, I would like to share my thoughts on how you can use the hypothalamic pituitary axis to enhance your circadian rhythm and therefore your long-term longevity. So to me, this is a very interesting topic and one of my favorites. Is the circadian rhythm inherent, or do you need to have light to have the circadian rhythm? And it's actually inherent. There are single-cell bacteria that have an inherent circadian rhythm, and it's not always driven by light perception. If everyone in the room closes their eyes for a moment, I bet you can tell whether it's daytime or nighttime. That is, for some, light-driven, because there are receptors in your retina, the IPRGE cells, which recognize the ambient light in the room without actually having to see it. So the HPA axis goes from light detection to the adrenal cortex. I know these slides are super busy, and I apologize for that, but it is really very complex. So once the IPGE cells detect light, then this starts up your hypothalamus. And the hypothalamic receptors are very, very small. This is an area of the brain underneath the thalamus and above the optic chiasm that contains many different nuclei. And the nuclei are a little bit like relay stations. So through these relay stations, the impulses go to different areas, and you can then have them transported to either the anterior or the posterior pituitary, and then they will go on to the adrenal axis. But the hypothalamus is only 4 grams, and it's a very complex structure. It's not separated out, it's all confluent tissue. So it's really something that's been recently discovered, all these areas. And so from the retina, the impulses go through the hypothalamic axis into the base of the brain, or what we call the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So the SCN is where all of the signals get directed. So this is kind of like the switch of the railways, and they're driven to certain areas. If we look at the hypothalamus, then we have the different nuclei, and these, of course, will go on to either the pituitary anteriorly or posteriorly. So the nuclei interaction, and this is really key. So I think if you want to take a picture, this would be the good area to do it. The SPZ, of course, will drive your metabolic signals, and then the DMH will also drive signals, and these go to the anterior and posterior pituitary. The PVN, this is a nucleus that will drive signals down to the adrenal axis. And this is the circadian rhythm is really very complicated because it has metabolic consequences, cardiovascular consequences, and as well liver, kidney, all of your systems, even the cardiac axis and the brain axis. So this is not the exact location of the supraventricular zone or the DMH, but they are in sequence. They are really more coalescent. If we look at the effect on ACTH or the adrenal cortex, it's interesting to note that back in the day, like Dr. Feiner in my day, we would think that high cortisol was an expression of stress, and high cortisol was bad, and low cortisol was good because you were managing your stress. And now we know that this is not true. The cortisol cycle is an undulating wave, and you should see a cortisol peak almost immediately after you wake up. That's why most of the cardiac consequences we see happen in the morning, because your blood pressure is highest. And as the day goes on, your cortisol will have peaked, and then it gradually trails off. And you can usually find this out with what we call a Dutch test. So saliva is much more accurate than if you want to check your cortisol level. You do it through the time of day, and using something like a Dutch test, which is saliva-driven, is much more helpful. The posterior pituitary goes directly towards the adrenal medulla, and this is one of the areas where you're looking at both hemodynamic support as well as the stress response. Metabolic effects are indirect, and then, of course, you see a pretty rapid onset. So this is where most of us really perceive stress, and this also will drive your blood pressure as well as the insulin response. If we go through the areas of the anterior pituitary, then you're going to see a little bit more of the cognitive effects as well as indirect but not direct stress effects. So, of course, ACTH effects, you're going to see a little bit more of these in the bloodstream. A lot of these will drive your hormones. And so I know that DHEA is a precursor to many of these hormones. So this is a direct DHEA effect. And of course, men and women will respond a little bit differently. So this, to me, the adrenal gland is a clinical target in circadian health and longevity. And nighttime is, of course, time to go to sleep. This is when we recover from our stress, and your blood pressure is going to go down, peak in the early morning time. And then depending on your level of activity and level of stress, then it can stay high or it can tune out a little bit. In the morning, of course, you're going to get a little bit more of an effect metabolically on the pancreas and the stomach and the intestinal milieu, because this is combined with mealtime. So there's a lot of interactive responses. There's not only about the circadian axis, but the external influencers of the day as well. So how do we personally optimize our circadian rhythm for longevity? And I think these are basic, pretty basic, and we know a lot of these, but I think if in the morning you keep a consistent schedule, but even if you're traveling, because many of us did travel here, it's really important to tune your circadian rhythm to the place that you are, not the place that you came from. So when we hop on a plane, I came from the US, it's a very long trip. One of the first things that I'll do when I get off the plane is to go outside and try to acclimatize myself to the light. And instead of getting fragmented sleep and taking naps, try to stay up until it's bedtime and then get as much sleep as you can during that time. I would say if you can avoid taking medication, I supplement with melatonin, and I want to hear what everybody else does because sleep is a big issue, then I think that's important. But if you go outside for a walk and you get bright light for anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes in the morning, this will help reset your circadian rhythm, especially if you're in a new place or you're traveling across time zones. It's important to have as much metabolic consistency as you can. Even those of us who are on a intermittent fasting schedule or you have a set meal time, try to maintain that into your new environment. And of course, dim your blue light at night. Most of us spend way too much time on our computers. I think most of us are guilty, or on your phone. So turn it off, walk away, and then you will sleep better at night. One of the important things too is I know that a lot of us are really into working out. I try to do it early in the morning because if you do it late at night, then you're going to disrupt your circadian rhythm as well. And so if we're looking at things from anything from the longevity of your brain, any cognitive impairment, especially if you're genetically prone, I would say that you probably don't want to stimulate your brain too late at night. And an ideal way to close out your day is to go outside when it becomes dusk, and gradual dimming of the light or experiencing some twilight is also a good way to optimize that. If we align your circadian rhythm for better stress and resilience, it's pretty much the same thing. Morning light, get some exercise. Exercise is a really great way to optimize your longevity. Manage stress throughout the day. And I think this is one of the key messages that I have for you, is that reaction to stress is a choice. It's not an inherent perceptual issue. And so if you look at stress as something hormetic, hormesis, of course, is that doesn't kill you, will make you stronger. If you look at your stressors throughout the day and take them one at a time, instead of choosing to be overwhelmed, this to me is one of the keys that I deal with every day. I own my own practice. I've got to deal with not only patients, but staff and bills and all the administrative issues. So choosing each stressor, but not trying to tackle too many of them at once. 3 to 4 challenges a day, that's my tops. And also, if you optimize your meals and metabolic health, I would tell women 40 grams of protein a day, men no less than 60. Ideally, it's more like 80. So another way to optimize your long-term health along with your circadian rhythm is, of course, high protein and low carbs. But I also think it's important to look at metabolic health with the biomarkers. And so I wear an Apple Watch. If you look at biomarkers, my most important message is to have your skeletal muscle mass be about twice the number of kilograms or pounds as your percent body fat. So let's say my muscle mass is low, I'm not a big person, it's about 50 on a good day. So my percent body fat is 21. That's a good ratio because that skeletal muscle mass to me will drive your long-term health. And if you can keep your biomarkers on target, your basal metabolic rate, and your energy levels high, then this will help keep up all of your optimal settings. So another thing that I've learned recently, because I was doing an experiment in parasympathetic versus sympathetic balance, and so I had a spine issue. I was hypertensive because it hurt really badly and I didn't want surgery. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take some clonidine. Now, clonidine is a really old school medication for blood pressure, and it's a particular parasympathetic stimulator. It was very interesting because I took a super low dose and I had a very low blood pressure, and so was so functionally impaired. All I could do is maybe with some effort make it out to the front porch and watch the cotton fall. But I had absolutely could not function, and I had severe anhedonia, inability to experience any pleasure at all. On the opposite end, though, if you're too sympathetically responsive and you use a lot of caffeine, you're doing your smoking, everything, you're on your phone a lot, then of course this is non-functional too. So you don't want either polarity, not too much parasympathetic and not too much sympathetic, but don't take clonidine because I lost a weekend that way. So I would tell you in summary, cortisol, catecholamines, et cetera, are governed by circadian signaling and morning light. These are important. Exercise timing, simple things like meal timing. Regular sleep is hard for us, but to me, it's really about adaptive variability. And so instead of seeing stress as a stressor, I try to look at it as an opportunity to overcome whatever issues there are in the day and then fall back into the circadian rhythm. So it's like a reset. So this is something that's interesting you can take a picture of, but there is an intersection of the central autonomic network with the circadian regulations. I don't have time for that, but so chronic stress overload is also called allostatic load. There's your circadian cortisol rhythm. And so ramp up in the morning early, ramp down at night, and exhibit resilient response to your stressors. Thanks very much for your time.
I have a quick question. How about if you combine melatonin with L-tryptophan? Because L-tryptophan is going to adjust the mood as well. It's going to have to do with serotonin and the whole.
I agree with that, but I think that at least in the U.S., there's a little bit of overuse of yes, of all the peptides. And so we were talking about this in an earlier session. I don't know, in Thailand, do you have DIY injectors? Because in the U.S., you can order growth hormone or tirzepatide or any drug online, and it might be, or it might not, or hormones. And so there are a lot of people who are self-medicating because they read about it and then they think that they know a lot. And a lot of them go to Dr. Google and they will come and tell you that they know more than you do. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that in Thailand?
There has a special that we can buy it, and the doctor can buy. But I don't think normal people can buy except that through doctors. There's
So
some
Thai
company-
people cannot get peptides online?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But doctor can have the company
Okay, all right.
to sell
Well, I'll
it.
let your next speaker get going, but thanks so much for the opportunity.
Okay. Next session is I want to introduce Dr. Lucie Hugues-Fontaine. She is endocrinologist from France. Wait for a slide a little bit. ขอดูหัวข้อหน่อยนะ And today she will give us the talk about the impact of the climate change on the global and the cutaneous aging. So it's interesting that we didn't hear this much before. So please welcome Dr. Hugues-Fontaine.
You don't find it? Hi, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to talk about this really interesting subject. So I'm French endocrinologist, and I get some interesting insight from my certification with Harvard about the climate and health connection. We have a really strong relationship with nature, with Earth, for the best and sometimes for the worst. And today we are going to talk about the impact on health and more precisely on aging process and cutaneous damage. So just to begin, a brief story of senescence, because we talk a lot about senescent cell, but finally, what is it? For you to know a little bit more about senescent cell process. So in a nutshell, senescence is a natural process and it's part of physiology. We need it. For the tissue hormesis, we need a certain kind of senescence in the body. But when there is an accumulation of senescent cell, it drives disease and aging process. So what is a senescent cell? It's a cell with a cycle cell stop in between G1 and G0 of the cell cycle. And from what? From telomeric signal, so the shortening of telomere or non-telomeric signal from extrinsic factor. But what is really interesting, it's really arresting, so there is no proliferation anymore, but it's really metabolically active. So it can influence the rest of the body and also the neighboring cell. So when we talk about senescent cell, we need also to understand some biomarkers. So to consider a cell with a process of senescence, we need to have a range of biomarkers, not only one. And it also leads us to understand what function are transmuting. And we will have some change in the morphology, such as proliferation, that will be really slowing down, and certain type of dysfunction about proteostasis and accumulation of certain type of H product and AL products. But what I would like to emphasize on is the SASP phenotype, because a lot of the time when we talk about longevity, we talk about the SASP phenotype. And what is it? It's a complex secretome. So that does mean that it will lead to some inflammatory cytokine accumulation that will alter the microenvironment and finally the tissue itself, leading to some diseases such as atherosclerosis, neurodegenerative disease, and also glucose abnormality, fat abnormalities. We will have accumulation of certain type of interleukins, such as interleukin 6, and it will lead to this tissue dysfunction aging process. And it's like an endocrine cell because it will act in a paracrine and autocrine communication. So one senescent cell can influence the cell just nearby to make it senescent itself, like a zombie effect. So where is the environment into this senescence phenomenon? We will have some triggers from environment, such as ozone, UV, heavy metals, nanoparticles, and also air pollutions. So ozone will have a huge impact on the skin, on the epidermis, with also triggering the stress response, and on the dermis, with more impact on the decrement of collagen 1 and 3, so inducing wrinkle. The UV radiation is well known, so I won't emphasize on that. The heavy metals will alter the epidermal differentiation and also the matrix, the skin barrier, with an impact on immunity. We know that there is a strong link in between the cadmium and the psoriasis disease. The nanoparticles are everywhere in the air, and the most harmful are the PM 2.5. So 2.5 is the size of the diameters of the nanoparticles, is like 30 times less thicker than a hair. So it's really, really thin. But it will cause some DNA methylation change and also some damage on collagen and elastin. The air pollution will induce also some production of oxygen species and will induce an increasing of the thickness, the stiffness of the skin, and some telomeric shortening. So all this environment trigger will induce oxidative stress that will also cause a cellular senescence with some consequences on the skin aging, such as the inflammaging, so chronic inflammation, appearance of skin aging process with wrinkles, and also a tissue dysfunction. So this slide, just for you to understand that it's really interesting because at the skin level, it's really well known, well documented. It's really easy to access to make studies because there is a high rate of replication. So the study on the skin are the best run. But what is really interesting is what we find in the skin aging process is quite also a replication, a translation of what's happening in the cell inside at the process of cellular senescence. So I know this slide is really busy, sorry for that, but it's really interesting for you to understand all the interconnection in between what is happening in the environment and what is the translation at cellular level with the Ross generation, the mitochondrial dysfunction, the DNA damage, and apoptosis that will induce a lot of cascade of reaction with a lot of oxidative pathway that will lead itself to consequences and translation and expression on skin level, impacting the fibroblast, the keratinocyte, the melanocyte, and immune cell. And we will translate it at the skin level with some collagen breakdown, some elastin degradation, and skin microbiome dysbiosis. Okay, this one is the same. Just this slide to raise some awareness, because we talk about climate change, like, yeah, we need to save Earth, like nature is beautiful. But it's not only that, it's really a whole health crisis, because it's about 13 million deaths every year. And it's not from me, it's from World Health Organization. It's 1 on 4 global deaths per year. So it's a lot. So I know it was not funny, it's just this slide to make it a little bit funnier. So sometimes also there is a connection that lead to evolution with the relationship between nature and health and human evolution. And there is a story with the climate nose, because finally the phenotypic evolution just overcomes the genetic factors, because we know that in tropical warm area, the people just need to grab the more oxygen they can, so it will lead to more flat nose and open nostril to make it also to catch more oxygen. And with cold area, they will lead also to more closed nostril, just to avoid some irritation and also to protect people from the cold and the skin irritation. So sometimes there is evolution, adaptation in between nature and human when we don't influence too much the nature. Because right now, the main problems with environment triggering aging is not because of nature, it's because of human changing nature. So what about the extreme change of climate, such as heat, cold, dryness, and humidity? I'm not talking about like a little bit more humidity than usual, but really extreme on this heat, cold, dryness, and humidity. There will be a lot of different impact and reaction at the skin level. And we know finally that humidity will lead to maybe more inflammation with occlusion, altered microbiome, sebum production. But when we have low humidity, it will really lead to SASP phenotype, and also loss of elasticity, skin conductance, and loss of water. Cold will cause more vasoconstriction, so more increased sensitivity, and heat will increase the metalloproteinase 1 and 3 with collagen degradation and more photoaging. So you can just take a look at the end. There is a little tab here to summarize. And finally, the humidity protects in terms of skin conductance and skin elasticity, but when there is too much humidity and air pollution, all the toxin will be trapped inside the skin. It's really important also to consider. So this study was really interesting because just after, it's a Japanese studies, after 30 minutes of exposure to low humidity, we saw that there is a decrease in skin conductance and skin elasticity with appearance of fine wrinkles. So just in 30 minutes. So we need also to consider all the air conditioner effect, also with change of temperature, really brutal sometimes in between outdoor and indoors. And also what is interesting is in between populations, the first sign of aging will be different. So we will have more pigmentation disorder as early sign of aging with Asian West African population, and more with Caucasian population, a more wrinkle effect. And also just one point is about the microbiome. So depending on where you live, the environment will influence also the microbiome and change also the microbiome of the skin. So you can also protect, prevent, repair, and regenerate because of your diet, and also by influencing your routine with vitamin C and sunscreen. But I really insist on vitamin C because it's such a powerful antioxidant, and also just avoid the tsunami effects, the accumulation, such as smoking plus UV, ozone plus UV. It will increase the risk. And also there is a protective toolbox against this environment. So for the skin, it will be just to increase the resilience of the microbiome of the skin, protect with an antioxidant shield, vitamin C, E, ferulic acid, and also to increase your nutrients to protect also from this oxidative stress. And just to also summarize, yes, there is an impact of aging directly, but there is also other impact with psychological and stress because of climate change, migration, and societal change that could induce also urban crowding, and also some expansion of disease vectors and food insecurities and malnutrition that can also induce an acceleration in aging process. So, from individual skin to collective health. So from one perspective, we need to summarize in education, innovation, and to collect data, to use AI for that to predict, and to also provide more healthier environment to protect our skin, but not only to protect just our health, because when you seek health from nature, you become healthy by nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful lecture and very informative. The next speaker is going to be watchmaker Jacqueline. Understanding glycation from sugar to skin damage. And my friend Angela keeps telling me about not having sugar, but I love sugar. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to hear why sugar is bad for us. And let's see if you're going to convince us.
Thank you so much for having me. I too like sugar, but I think everything in moderation. And I'm going to be talking about understanding glycation, which I think is a relatively under-discussed topic in the skincare world. It has been extensively discussed in other parts of medicine, but just now starting to be more discussed in the skin world. So, what is glycation and how does it affect the skin? Honestly, I think if you would have asked me this, a few years ago, I couldn't have really given you a good answer. But raise your hand if you've heard of glycation and know how it affects the skin. Okay, I would say a third to a half. Perfect. And again, I think it's frequently overlooked and under-discussed, but over the past year or two, it has been starting to be discussed a little bit more. So to delve in, glycation, to put simply, is a natural, non-enzymatic reaction. It occurs between a sugar, like glucose, and a protein, like collagen, elastin, or hemoglobin. And when the sugar and the protein combine in the body, it forms something called an advanced glycation end product, or AGE. And these AGEs are sticky and inflammatory and destructive and cause damage systemically throughout all of our organs, including the skin. And when I was first learning about glycation, it was helpful for me to think about an everyday example of glycation. And one example that all of us see all the time on the streets of Bangkok as well is cooking a steak. When you sear a steak, the heat causes the sugar in the steak to combine with the protein in the steak, and it changes the structure, look, feel, function of the protein. So the steak goes from, soft and flexible and red to kind of crispy and firm and brown. And if you kind of think of this mental image when you think about your collagen being glycated in your skin, it might be helpful. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a rare steak beef tartare girl. I like my steak rare and my collagen not glycated. But to delve into the science a little bit more, specifically in the skin, how do AGEs actually damage the skin? They can do it through a lot of different mechanisms. First, AGEs cause collagen and elastin cross-links, which decreases their elasticity, increases the stiffness, decreases the natural remodeling of the collagen and elastin that we need for healthy skin. AGEs can also impact fibroblasts, and as all of us know, fibroblasts are essential for healthy skin. It can increase apoptosis of fibroblasts and therefore decrease the production of extracellular matrix proteins that are essential. AGEs also have inflammatory effects. They can stimulate, downstream inflammatory cytokine pathways. They can increase matrix metalloproteases that degrade our normal healthy collagen and elastin. And then AGEs can also bind to something called RAGE, and RAGE stands for the receptor for advanced glycation end product. And RAGE, these receptors are on lots of different cells throughout the body and throughout the skin. And when these AGEs bind to RAGE, it causes various downstream effects, including increase in reactive oxygen species, DNA damage, etc. So when RAGE is activated, it's not good. I think it's accurately named. And again, just mental picture, when I think of someone that, has a lot of glycation in their skin, a lot of glycative stress, I think of someone like this or someone like this. A patient who has dull skin, sallow skin, decreased elasticity, fine lines, wrinkles. So this is just kind of what I think of as an extreme example of skin glycation. And I think all of us in medical school learned about AGEs, mostly in the context of diabetes, because diabetic patients, they have high circulating, blood glucose levels, and therefore a lot of AGEs and glycation occurring throughout their body. And again, glycation affects every single organ in our body. So think about a diabetic patient, their heart is affected, their kidneys are affected, their eyes are affected, their skin is dull, they have poor wound healing. So while a diabetic patient is an example of a, extreme example of what happens when a lot of glycation occurs, glycation does occur in all of us to some extent over time. And there are things that can increase our glycative stress and increase the accumulation of AGEs in our body. And it can be environmental factors such as UV light and pollution. It can be chronic stress. It can be smoking. It can be alcohol. Diet plays a big role. High glycemic diets, eating a lot of processed meats can all accelerate glycation beyond your slow baseline glycation. So to delve in a little bit more to environmental factors, basically any environmental factor that increases reactive oxygen species can also contribute to AGE formation. And like I showed in that first slide, when there's more AGEs around, it binds to RAGE, which increases reactive oxygen species. So AGEs increase reactive oxygen species, but also when there's more reactive oxygen species, be it from UV radiation or pollution, that also contributes to more AGEs. So it's this vicious positive feedback cycle loop that we don't want to be in. The importance of UV light and how it contributes to glycation in the skin, I think, is demonstrated nicely by some studies that show sun-exposed skin, even in the same exact person, has about 10% more AGEs than non-sun exposed skin in that same person. So UV light really is an important factor. And the skin, I think most of our favorite organ, is especially vulnerable to AGEs for, I think, two main reasons. One, like we've been talking about, UV exposure accelerates AGE accumulation, and also collagen has a very long half-life relative to other cells in the body. Collagen really, it has a half-life of, I think, almost a decade, so it's turned over very slowly, so it has time to accumulate a lot of AGE damage, whereas more rapidly turned over cells like red blood cells that turn over every few months don't have time to accumulate all of that damage. So when should we start worrying about AGEs and glycation? Well, external signs of glycation are usually seen around age 35, but if you look under a microscope, histologically, glycated collagen can be seen in our early 20s. So the sooner, the better to start caring. So how can we reduce glycation? I think people do, think of diet as a big one. And yes, low glycemic diets, eating healthy, not so many processed foods, that can all be helpful, but I think everything in moderation. I still like my sugar. There are obviously, lifestyle, not living in a polluted city, protecting yourself from the sun, and then I'm gonna briefly talk about a few topicals and a supplement that can also help with glycation. And the mainstay ways to minimize glycation through skincare is what we're already all telling our patients and doing ourselves. I think of sunscreen and antioxidants, but there are some specific ingredients like polyphenols, which are naturally occurring plant compounds that help protect against oxidative stress, that can also specifically help minimize glycation. And a few examples include rosmarinic acid, which is in rosemary, and curcumin, which is in turmeric. And there are a lot of different skincare products out there containing these polyphenols that specifically are helping to minimize and target glycation. And here are just a few of them. Again, there are a lot, but a few creams that contain proxylane and wild fruit flavonoids, and there's a supplement that contains rosmarinic acid and C.G. Beckia can all help minimize glycation. But again, there's a lot more. And that is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all this wonderful information. And now I'd like to introduce my very good friend, Dr. Angela Shimuta-Boucher. She's going to be talking about a new era of longevity, from genes to lifestyle medicine.
Is there a button? Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with friends and colleagues. Let me start with a simple question. Why do some people remain healthy in activity within 80 years old, while others develop chronic disease much earlier? Is it epigenetic? Is it genetic? Is it something else or lucky? Today I would like to share how medicine is evolving from genetic towards a more complete understanding of longevity and health aging. Okay. Who am I? I'm Dr. Angela Shimuta. I am otolaryngologist from São Paulo, Brazil. And over the years, my journey led me beyond disease treatment towards prevention, health aging, and lifestyle medicine. One important step in this journey was my training in lifestyle medicine at Harvard Medical School. There I learned something very powerful. Many chronic diseases are strongly influenced by daily habits. Nutrition, physical activity, stress, and sleep, and all affect health outcomes. The experience helped me shape my vision for the future of medicine. But knowledge alone is not enough. What really matters is how we use it to improve people's lives. My dream is very simple. It's to help people to live longer with health, energy, and purpose. Longevity is not only about adding years to life, it's about adding life to those years. To understand why this vision is important, we first need to understand the limitation of our modern healthcare model. Okay. Conventional medicine has been successful at diagnosing and treating disease. However, it is very reactive. We usually intervene after symptoms appear. Many chronic disease begin silently, years before diagnostic. One consequence of this model is that many warning signs become accepted as normal. Today, many people believe that it's normal to feel tired, to gain weight, to sleep poor. It's normal to lose energy with age. It's normal to be overweight. It's normal to age quickly. Okay, but perhaps these are not signs. These are not normal consequences of aging. Perhaps they are early warning signs of biological dysfunction. So, perhaps we are asking the wrong question in medicine. Traditionally, physicians ask, what disease this patient have? Today, we can ask another question. What health risk is this patient facing? Or what disease will this patient develop in the future? Okay? This shift moves medicine from diagnosis toward the prediction and prevention. And when the question changes, with entire medical model change as well. In precision, okay, in our medicine, we focus on disease detection. In precision longevity medicine, we focus on trajectory. We combine continuous monitoring, precision biology, risk prediction. The goal is to preserve health before disease appears. You think that your genes are your destiny or not? But studies of identical twins tell us a very different story. Look at these slides. Identical twins share nearly the same DNA. Yet they often age differently and develop different age disease. This shows that lifestyle influences how genes are expressed. We can say that genes loads the gun, but epigenetics pulls the trigger. If lifestyle can change outcomes, then prevention becomes possible. What if you could identify disease before symptoms appear? Okay. Remember that film, Minority Report, with Tom Cruise, that he could anticipate the crime? Do you remember? Okay. Minority Report, yeah? And they had their precogs. And now we have our precogs too. How can we identify risk before disease appears? Today we have a powerful tools that can help us see biological changes earlier. Epigenetics helps understand biological aging. Microbiota helps understand inflammation and metabolisms. And metabolomics helps understand the energy cells. Together, they provide a deeper view of health. Let's go to the epigenetic clocks. It's one of the most tools in epigenetics. Epigenetic clocks estimate biological change. They help us understand how fast a person is aging. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo is a soccer, you know that? And he's 41 years old, but his biological age shows 28. And this test gives us infallible information about future health risks. But aging is not influenced by DNA alone. The gut microbiota influences many systems throughout the body. It affects immunity, metabolism, and inflammation. We recognize that gut health is closely connected to health aging. To understand what is happening right now inside the body, we need another layer of information. Metabolomics provides a real-time snapshot of your biochemistry or your physiology. Metabolomics identify changes before disease manifests. So, what do we do with this data? We can diagnose potential disease, suggest a new lifestyle based on facts, increase life expectancy, and significant improvement in quality of life, and help patients make better decisions. And ultimately, all this information should guide this meaningful lifestyle intervention. Sorry. Okay. Lifestyle is the new branch of the science of using daily habits as medicine. Its goal is not only to help people live longer, but to help them remain healthy, active, and independent as they age. It focuses on evidence-based lifestyle factors such as health, nutrition, physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, social connection, and avoid harmful substances. Okay? Today, we can do these multidimensional assessments. To personalize this intervention, we need a deeper understanding of each individual. Health is not defined by a single test result. It's emerged from a dynamic intervention of multiple biological systems, as you can see here, using lifestyle questionnaire labs, bioimpedance, microbiota analysis, metabolomics, epigenetic tests, and wearable data. Okay? You can see we can control with these wearables. Heart rate, HRV, sleep quality, physical activity, and continuous glucose. So, okay, we have another 8 domains that is very useful for you doctors to understand our patient health. Which ones? Metabolism, inflammation, hormonal system, gut microbiota, body composition, cardiovascular system. Okay. Okay, you can see me now? Yes. Sorry. Okay. Circadian system, cognitive function. So, this integrative approach allows viewing the patient as a complex and interconnected system where an alteration in one domain reverberates in all others. So, someone must collect all these pieces together. The physician is no longer only a prescriber. The physician becomes a health architect, a health manager, helping patients understand this data, integrate information, and guide the long-term health decision. And this is the timeline of our longevity medicine. We can use genes, epigenetics, microbiota, all these tests. We can use precision medicine, longevity science, and artificial intelligence. This is very important because medicine, for the first time, moves from a science of population averages to a science of high precision individual data. So, the future of medicine is not treating disease, it's preventing them happen. And one thing, it's about helping people understand their unique health trajectory and give them the tools to change it. I put a phrase here of John Paul that we should strive to understand who we truly are rather than constantly telling ourselves who we should be. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope this presentation has inspired you to think differently about aging, prevention, and the future of medicine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And actually, Dr. Angela, you answered the question that Dr. Duncan asked. She said, if our patients come and they find something in Google and they tell us, well, we know better than you, that's not your role, you say, as a physician.
Yes.
Your role is to be a manager, to integrate the information,
Yes.
and to also be a strategist. That's very important. So that's a very good answer to the question that was asked previously.
Okay.
Thank you again. And we're going to have now. The best for last.
Yeah, not the last.
Not the last.
Not the last.
Very
but
special doctor.
yeah.
We're both presenting her.
she will talk about the 1-to-1 is equal to. Is that all depends on what you see and you don't see. So who will better to speak on this topic? We learned a lot about the smoke, about the climate, about the biomarkers, lifestyle medication. So for this topic, who will better to speak on this topic than our president of the Thai Association of the Anti-Aging and Regenerative Medicine. Let me introduce Dr. Nalini Suthiphaisan to speak in this topic. Please welcome.
Oh, yes, thank you. Good morning and also good afternoon. What is going to be? 1 + 1 is not 2. So it depends on what you see and what you don't see. Can we go? In medicine or even as aesthetic in beauty. Oh, sorry. That is disclosure that actually I'm a consultant of WonderMed Thailand. So, but that is a good device. But anyway, 1 + 1 is not 2 in medicines because we are human. We are life structure. We cannot heal with a linear things. We are not machine, and we are bioelectromagnetics with life. Life is another dimension. When we treat people, it's not go to the organs, it's not go like a part of the machines, it's not go like separate into different parts, but it should be connect body, mind, emotion, subconscious and conscious incongruent environment and relationships because we are human. The body doesn't heal in parts, it heals as one. If you imagine the circles is the cells, the cell connect into organs. If the circle is organs, it connect into the system. If the system is the circle, it connect into multiple systems work together, interconnections like a body. And if one circle is the body, it's also the mind. And if one circle is our body and mind, we connect with others. That is we survive. That is our life. That is our longevity. And by 1993, James Oschman, he proposed the living matrix. If you look at that, the line cytoskeleton of the living matrix is connect all over and even connect outside us like we have an aura. And that is the way that information go along the body, and it's the way that the subconscious go through. So if we can use that tool to be positive and help us, we should do it. Why? We have accurate diagnosis, we have evidence-based care, the patient so high compliance, but we have unpredictable outcome. Correct treatment doesn't always equal to correct outcome. What should we do? In energy medicines, we should have flow because the flow is connections and have informations. If our structure is good, there are good flow of the body. If our mentality is good, not distort, it's grow out of mentality. But if both body and mentality is good, it's good. So we should not have any block. That is, we should eliminate it. 1 + 1 can be 0, totally blocked. 1 + 1 can be less than what expect, mostly because of the threat mode of the body. And 1 + 1 as the right thing at the right time at the jigsaw can be tremendous result, ultimate response with holistic harmony. One example, a child has eczema. We give him the treatment. This is courtesy from Mr. Eric Walker, Canada. He gave me, this is from Hong Kong. Eczema is improved and recur. The child is not go in good growth. Until the building biologist, Mr. Eric, go to explore at his house. Wow, the bed of the child is exactly at the Bengal lines. Have you ever heard the Bengal lines, Bengal grid? Everybody, even in this room, somebody will sit on that grid because that grid is every 10 meters in northeast, southwest. If sitting for a while is okay, but if we lay down every night, 7 nights a week, it's interfere with our healing. Sleep is repairing, so we will not have good immune and good hormones. Better stay away from that. But how can we know? It's measurable. So the building biologist advised the child to go out of that grid. Come on, eczema gone. That is the point. So we should know what to do. And most of the time, it's not only one grid because it's multi-factors. Grid is one of the geopathic stress. But even you see this one, the grid can be Hartman, Bengal, and Curry. And then besides the geopathic grid, you can have multiple factors. mobile, high frequency, low frequency, pulse of electric, and pulse of generative electromagnetic. It's multi-factor in one thing. We should eliminate it, or if we can find it. As dermatologists, we come across very often that patients come with urticaria. Sometimes we cannot find the cause because we think that it might be infection, it might be non-infection. But if we think a little bit more, how about the environment? How about he used the mobile phone at all time with 5G? How about the air condition that's full of mold in the hot, humid country? How about geopathic stress? Or how about water? Or how about it's all mixed together, multi-factors? Eliminate all things can help people. We know that the high frequency electromagnetic field will make calcium regulation disruption, that our DNA change. With low frequency, like from the computer, from the plug, can make endocrine disruption. Geopathic stress make people cannot sleep if it is so strong. Could be geopathic valve, could be running water, could be the grid of the earth, can make weaken immunes. And the fungus of the mold, of course, inflammation, infections, reduce immunity. The second scenario, 1 + 1 is less than 2. Usually it depends on the trait, the emotion. Let's see these ladies. This lady come to see me because of the nodular cystic acne. Give the pills, give the laser, give many things. It's off and on. It cannot finish until her boss refer her to see one of the French doctors. And he asked the patient, have you broken heart? The patient said, no, I come from treatment the acne. It's nothing to do with a broken heart. And then the French doctor said, it's not only one, it's many times broken heart. See, and yes, it is. And then he started treating the patient. This is the doctor, Dr. Daniel Nicole from Paris. He treated first he connect the brain connections. And because the principal background is chiropractor, they make physical, chemical, emotional in proper shape. So what he do is that he correct T11 as he can find. T11 on the structure is about the kidney and the ureters. So it helps the skin conditions, acne, pimples, eczema, even boils. And then he neutralized the emotions. The bad emotion is neutralized, so the emotion is lift up. And then refer the patient to the homeopathy. After that, the acne nodular cystic gone. So, it's not moved. It's stuck. Can anybody help me? Yes. Maybe they would like you to see these pictures. Long. Physical, chemical, emotional correction. It's not moved. Sometimes we need some helper. That's great. So accurate diagnosis, correct evidence-based care, not expectable, predictable outcome. So it's so slow, unpredictable outcome. Because sometimes it's stress, fear, inflammation, and memory of imprint in our subconsciousness. That's why we haven't learned that much in conventional medicines. Another scenario, the ladies come to see me because of melasma. She's quite thin, lack of energy, melasma. So we evaluate her that she has low adrenal hormones. She is infertile as well, poor sleep, and abdominal discomfort. The skin is so cold. Lucky that I'm been after Dr. Duncan because she taught everything about the adrenal, insufficiency, circadian rhythm. But of course, in anti-aging, we see a lot of such people. We never can make melasma better without seeing the internal. Because only the skin is not enough. No matter laser, no matter cream, no matter pills, we need to put something inside both body and emotion in order to help that. So I think the skin is the reflect from within. The problem is the manifestation from within. So, and most of the skin, not most, I said almost always, skin problem is the immunity problem. If we approach immunity, especially the gut, we are better. So with these ladies, what we do is that we assess that she has C1 involvement with the chiropractor. C1 is Atlas. When people had Atlas subluxation, they can be fatigue, weakness, and depression and cannot sleep well. And the gut involvement, of course, because it's inflammation all over the body. You know, when people have adrenal insufficiency, it's not only the lack of energy, it's also that mood. Our brain is also inflamed because it's inflamed all over because we don't have anti-inflammatory hormones. And of course, endocrine, toxic load, environment. Somebody, the building biologist go to see her house, and he find the Bengal lines, the groundwater, and the electric in the house. So it means that environment as well, but her body have to be correct, both physical, mentally, structure, chemical, emotional, and environment. Just to see you that I'm learning some Chinese medicine, we can check that who is the melasma in what type. With the liver, they're easily angry, fearful. With the spleen, it's a chubby. And with the kidney, it's no energy. And usually the kidney is involved with the adrenal gland that Dr. Tan can tell. For the hormones, it doesn't mean that pituitary axis, because actually our body are holistic. They connect all over. With one hormone, we connect every hormone. In order to correct the people to be better in good health and longevity, we need to correct everything. If you look at that, if the adrenal gland is not good, you need to correct sex hormone and brain hormone as well. If thyroid is not good, you need to correct adrenal, pancreas, liver, sex hormone, and the brain. So it means that you do something that makes its interconnection. And everything good, everything will be good. This is just to pass over that in Chinese medicine, they have some supplement or some food that they recommend in each type. And in Western medicine, they give some supplement as well. And in Chinese medicine, they even have the ear acupuncture in order to help that I do with every patient of mine with melasma. Let them activate themselves. And with the sleep is very important in everybody. There are 6 pillars of the good lifestyle, but the thing that I approach is sleep and mentality, emotions. So in order to have holistic 1 + 1 to be 10+, we approach both body, mind, and environment. Oh, thank you. I love when people take a photo. No, I'm not finished yet. It's only half. Thank you. For me, it's no single cause. There's no single cure. So we need to have multiple modalities in order to treatment to make ourselves is coherence in the system. Some people, because we are all aesthetic, I give you some people that I share with you how to treat. If you have the ptosis from botulinum toxin, you give the eye drop, right? It takes months to heal. But anyway, that is another way. You use only your finger to treat this. This subject is called Total Body Modification, TBM. Dr. Kevin Millett is the world authority of this. Everybody can learn from him. And when I learn from him, ptosis, instead of putting the eye drop, you can make it better, only 2 visits, finish. And when people, they have the AI, you see, it's very stretched and cannot work well. 2 visits, harmonization, toxic biomapping approach is very fast recovery. Learn, it takes time for learning. I do inject Botox people. Most of the time I give the topical anesthesia. This lady doesn't need any anesthesia at all. Then they come one day that she come to see me, and I said, a lot of queue, just put the anesthesia topical and waiting. So it's better than nothing, than she wait without anything. But immediately after I inject, I talk to her and she cry. How come? With a topical anesthesia crying, but every time no anesthesia, very talkative. Because she is overwhelmed, I find out. So we treat her overwhelmed. And that time, because if you have bad structure, chemical, emotional, our innate intelligence separate the connection between left and right brain at the corpus callosum. We need you to rest, but you still insist to do some activity. The body is not go with you. So what I'm doing at that time is I'm do connect left and right brain with only the fingers on the table. on the bed. And then immediately after corrections, I'm going to inject Botox. She's okay. It's very good, very fast. Use only the hand to be the North Pole and the South Pole. Learn a little bit from these doctors, French. When people have red and light brain disconnect, sometimes they not respond well to treatment, no matter what it is, because they're so overwhelmed. Cause can be too much emotional, structure, or chemicals. Just correct that very easy. And then we give the pill, we give the physical therapist, we give the acupuncture something. The energy flow will go all over. There will not be a blockage of the body. It's easy. This lady is psoriasis, and she comes with even have towels bio เขาเรียก bio เลยนะ biologic drugs. She still have wet, oozing legs. Even the first time is even worse than that, but I'm take a photo of the second time. The history, she has Sinovac 2 doses, AstraZeneca as well, and after that it start resist to treatment. So what I'm doing is that I give the pulse electromagnetic field therapy, focus mode. This is a device from Germany because they give me the post vaccine protocol, and I give her only 2 visits. We get her leg like this. That is something that we have to learn and we have to know, and we can apply at the right side and the right time. Is biofeedback device. Another patient of filler complications. Day 1, the doctor noticed that he do something little wrong, so he give Hyaluronic. The second day, the patient start non-cooperate, so he consult me, Nalini, where to put the Hyaluronic at the point of the face. I go to see the patient, I put my pen, come on, this area, and the patient withdraw the face out, and he said, lead poisoning. That is my first experience. Lead poisoning, what to do? I said, oh, I cannot tell what to inject the Hyaluronic, so then just go for the pulse electromagnetic field therapy. I expect it to be support recovery, promote circulations. It come back very surprising because after patient finished with the device, patient so cooperate. Call me professor. I haven't been professor, but he called me. Very cooperate. Allow me to inject Hyaluronic 4 point without any anesthesia and smile. The result is that instead of treating the circulation, the device biofeedback tells us to treat the terror, the joy of life, make emotional better, and then he cooperate. The Ben is score is free. He come back to follow the next day, and he said, I'm better because of this device. Actually, not really. It is the device, but in combination with what we have inject Hyaluronic. But that is what people understand. Safety is not psychological comfort. Safety is a biological requirement. Another patient, this is very important, I like it very much, the oven burned her face and her arms, 2nd degree burned. But some doctor refer her to see me. She's crying, she's afraid of the scar. See, beautiful ladies is like that. But I give her also the pulse electromagnetic field. It's come up with the device biofeedback about anti-stress, soft tissue regeneration, some pain, and some vitamin D requirement. Immediately after finish the device, the 2nd blister degree burn turned pain to be 0. She feel much happy. And then she come back to follow up 3 visits. I haven't give you the face pictures because just the arm is enough to see. Actually, arm is difficult than the face. She has no scar. She's happy. She said, going back, no friend know that she has burned, and even tell that she is more beautiful than before. So the thing is that our approach doesn't reject medicine that we have learned, but it's expand. It's something that we should learn, we should know, and we should do at the right time and the right time. We should not have isolated treatment. Everything is systemic integrations. The subconscious is not unscientific anymore. It is because we don't know our subconscious, but we can find a way in order to approach and manage our subconscious to go along with the consciousness. Because usually Our consciousness mind take about 5%. The rest is 95% of the subconscious. If we can approach that, if we can make conscious and subconscious go along together, we can do it well. That is more than 10, 20, nearly 20 years that I'm doing energy medicines. So because I would like it to be people to be self-healing, self-regulation, and self-regenerations, we can use less drug. We can go deeper. We can expand our conventional medicine. It's a lot of technical term. Everybody can learn because I've learned and my staff have learned total body modifications, conscious, subconscious, mind-body connections, living matrix device, biofuel device, signal technologies, Bach flower for emotion, emotion code. We advise patients with anthroposophy concepts, homeopathy, and now today, I would love to invite you to go on building biology because it's a very good environment approach and we can help a lot of people. Beauty is a systemic outcome. Longevity is systemic medicine. Biology is integrative by design. We could be all personal health designs from now. I end up with health is not everything, but without health, everything is nothing. Thank you.
That's a wonderful lecture, Dr. Nalini. Thank you very much. And for the first time, you're introducing how the fields of the body are interacting with the forces of nature, the electromagnetism, consciousness. All of these are very important points.
I give you some clue because you come from far away. Anybody here has jet lag? Okay, look at this. This is, I was told, when we have landing, they have 2-3 things to do, but this is simple. You just track your ear. We can do now. The ear lobe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. And this side, on the left side of you, is the spleen point. So you rub your spleen point for a minute. Just keep rubbing a minute or two. That is good enough when you are on the plane. And the second is that if you're grounding yourself, you go to the new country, new air, new way. So you breathe in, come on. And you breathe out. You can do like this. In and out. It's grounding. In and out. In and out. When you are landing on the outdoor, you do about 3 times. And the last is that if people are traveling so often, I have another one. It's called flying mode. I put it in my pocket when I'm in the airplane. I've been out all of the airplane. I take it out when you are out of the corridor or something. Anybody interested in it can ask me personally. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the excellent talk. So the last session of today is about the how to synergistic use of the laser, ultrasound, and cosmeceutical for the skin health, longevity. So please invite Dr. Valeria Campos from Brazil.
Hi. Thank you, the Incas company, especially my friend Cartier. Cartier, what you are doing here? So tired. Thank you for the prestige for our reunion here. So I'm Valeria Campos, dermatologist from Brazil. I have the opportunity to study energy and laser device at Harvard Medical School. Nowadays, I'm back to Brazil. These are my conflict. But before my conflict, I need to thank you, the chairwoman. These are my conflict of interest. When I started doing laser, like 30 years ago with Rox Anderson in Boston, what was laser? Laser was something to burn, thermal destruction. The more, the better. Now, thank God, this was a turn point, was Rox Anderson. After this theory of the fractional laser beam for this fractional photothermology, we start to realize that we don't need to burn everything. So now, how do you use it? We can use the synergic use it with nutraceutical to make it even better. So rejuvenation today, as I said before, is not just correction of visible damage. It's about preserving tissue and the goal, collagen quality, extracellular matrix index, vascular health, cellular resilience, and inflammation reduction. Everything, this is for the patient, are no longer seeker for look younger. They want to age better, thank God. So aging is not determined exclusively by genetic. When I started doing medicine, dermatology, depends on, someone mentioned, like, we're not defined by our genetic. So we do have 4 major, it's more than that, but that's concentrated because you need to go for lunch. Oxidation, stress, inflammation, was well said, glycation, cellular senescence, extracellular matrix deterioration. This factor will influence the response to any device, include the laser. So what do they laser, what they can do for us? They can activate repair pathway, then can remodel collagen, stimulate extracellular matrix, promote tissue generation, and this goal is not just create heat, it's about it to target a controlled regenerative response. This is a study by Cartier, who's there, for someone has like question about it, unlocking the longevity in aesthetic dermatology, epigenetic, not just genetic. Now we're looking for genetic. This summarizes, I think, all the talks that came before me, Walmart, and how can we intervene, and even you can like reverse, like use energy-based devices. Let's start by inflammation. So we do have some antioxidant. Of course, you should take this from diet. But what about if you don't have a good diet? Like here in Asia, I think we do have better diet than you have like in America. So we can have this strongest clinical support. And we have like some options here, omega-3, polypodioleucotoma, carotenoids, best astaxanthina, as was said before. And you can have pycnogenol, Q10, and polyphenols. I will concentrate on omega-3 because I have some experience, but you can choose whatever you like. Omega-3. We do have 2 essential fat acids. It means that we don't produce. You need to take this from the diet. So we need a balance between omega-3 and omega-6 because the omega-6, it's pro-inflammatory. We do need some inflammation. It's not that we need to reduce it to 0. And you have the omega-3 that decrease the inflammation. Okay, why, especially in American, and we do have more like omega-3? Just take a look at where can you take this? Omega-6, it's much more easy to get. Omega-3, you might think about it like that you can have from the nuts or anything, but the truth is that this conversion is not good. So we need to have fish, and even if fish is not from, it's not from the river or from the sea, they don't produce omega-3. So the majority of the time, this balance, we have more inflammation, more omega-6. And this is maybe one cause of problems that you have according to the inflammation. So in order to check, this is a study conducted by me and some friends in Brazil for the patients. Half of the patient, we gave the omega-3 supplement, and half was placebo. And guess what? After a procedure, aggressive procedure, among the patients who did not take the supplementation with omega-3, 30% had post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Among the patients that took the supplementation, none of them had any single case of hyperpigmentation. Here, example of a patient on the left. This is the patient that did not take it. And on the other side, the patient that took the supplementation. For those who want to take a closer look at this study, I leave here the QR code, but I'm more than happy to discuss about that. Second, glycation was well talked about Elizabeth. We know that we don't need to eat sugar. Even like going to the sun, we have it. Grilled food, smoking. So we know what is glycation. So we do have this kind of bad collagen, glycation. We call this toxic sugar. And what is the consequence? It's like wrinkles. You have more this lost elasticity, density, and more melasma about the glycation. And the worst for me that work with like technology is that this glycation collagen does not respond so well satisfactorily to aesthetic procedure. So good news. Of course, we should say for a patient, don't eat sweet. Forget it. We love sweet. So I have some experience with this, carcinine. And this is a study that I presented at the American Academy of Dermatology showing the positive effect of taking oral carcinine. Carcinine is an anti-glycation, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effect. This is a patient from the study, the patient after 30 days and 60 days. Another patient, 20 days. So let's take a tip closer. I'm not saying that I use this as a monotherapy. Of course not. But if you notice, this patient, she works for me in my own office. It was just taking the carcinine. What do? When I see the patient has too much glycation, they eat too much sugar, like my friend here, I ask her to take this, decrease it. Just look at around her eyes area. You can see that she has less inflammation. So she's ready to start the treatment of melasma in this case. Cellular senescence. Yes, we do have. This is another study showing the impact of laser and energy-based device on cellular senescence. This was a review study. It analyzed 23 studies. So it's a complex, if you see like different, energy-based device has different effects, but let's focus on laser and ultrasound I was asked to talk on this talk. So this literature showed the impact, positive effect. The energy-based device is capable of reducing cellular senescence and restoring cellular signal and rejuvenation issue. And we proposed, this study proposed that the mechanism of homeostasis promote an anti-fragility and longevity. Let's talk a little bit about the ultrasound. Many studies showing the positive effect of ultrasound on different cells and mechanism. And even this study that I showed before, as you can see here, and it's not possible to show, but you need to trust me. Here in purple, it's the mechanism of high-intensity focal ultrasound, showing, yes, it does have a positive effect. Here it is. So it does a tour. The studies are in vitro, like the studies on the left are like in vivo, and this is in vivo. But yes, you can use the ultrasound, and you can have positive effects. And another thing, the ultrasound, it's capable of reducing this immune stimulation. So most of the time, if you look at the literature, you are showing more positive for the cancer. But you do have different, and you can have it. Here's another study showing the use of ultrasound to kill cancer. I'm not saying that you should use this as a monotherapy. But what about if you do your patient, I live in Brazil, skin cancer is one of the most important cancer. Maybe you can have some prevention here. And this is something really new. It's about the use of ultrasound to increase the fat. Maybe we start doing a study in Brazil using low energy. It's a high-intensity ultrasound, but with low energy. And it looks like maybe you can increase in some areas on the face or around the eyes without need a needle injection. This is regenerative. And I could not miss this, mitochondria. If you talk about regenerative, it's where it produces our energy. The mitochondria is very important for your skin, and you should never forget. As was mentioned before, we do have some mechanism, but let's focus on the fibroblast, when you can increase the energy and prepare your skin to have your energy-based device. And my favorite way to enhance this energy is using the LED. You can use a laser, but I do LED, and I use it most of the time. And yes, it's not just about mitochondria. The LED is capable of promote angiogenesis, reduce edema and oxidative stress, accelerate wound healing, and enhance the overall healing process. There are different colors. For the purpose of this talk, I would mention that the red is the best to decrease the inflammation. But of course, the blue can be used for acne, and you do have another one. The infrared can be used for after and before procedure to decrease the inflammation as well. And last but not least, extracellular matrix deterioration. Yes, you can use laser here. Look, according to the literature, and I totally agree, the fractional laser that have a water as a chromophore, ablative and non-ablative, are capable of promoting this dermal extracellular matrix remodulation. The IPL and the lasers have like the vascular or melanin as a chromophore, don't have directly impact, but yes, indirectly, you can make it, your extracellular matrix healthier. And what about the ultrasound? Yes, the ultrasound, I wouldn't say it's my favorite device, but what about if you do have just the ultrasound on your clinic? Yes, you can work it to make your extracellular matrix healthier. And here I'm going to leave the last I'm going to talk is about the silicone. Sometimes I think we don't think too much about this. It's such important, and it's important especially for the collagen formation. We do have the silicone on your diet, but the problem is that we don't absorb it. And this is important, especially for females 30 years on the menopause. And there's many studies showing that, yes, it helps maintain the blood vessels elasticity, and if the supplementation can increase collagen and elastin synthesis. And here is another study showing that deficiency can make it your healing much more slowly, and you have more wrinkles and you can age it. We do have, I would say, like 3 more important kind of silicone, and the one that the literature shows that it's healthier, it's this that is stabilized in collagen. And my favorite collagen is about this, the marine collagen, so it's the organic silicone stabilized in a hydrolyzed marine collagen molecule. And I had a study in Brazil about the usage. This was like 22 patients divided with a double-blind study, showing that yes, it was capable just as a monotherapy to make your skin, especially what does, it make the amount of water on the tissue. So I'm not saying that you should use this as a monotherapy, but yes, it can be helpful, especially if you're using for unit-based devices. So I leave here they studied, and the QR code for those who want to take a look at deep closer on this. So what are the advantages associated with silicone of energy-based devices? It does accelerate wound healing, improve the body vessels quality, and yes, it can stimulate the extracellular matrix as well. So this is the combination I like the most. I use supplementation, and I'm very fond of energy-based devices and laser. But even like this supplementation, when I'm gonna do like a pill or injections, always the patient can. And another reason, like, as I said before, I live in Brazil, and the most common side effects over there are the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So if you do use the silicone or something that decreases the inflammation, yes, it's not that you're not don't have it, but if you decrease the inflammation, you have less chance of side effects. Here, this is a study showing it. Almost finishing. Here how the silicone works, it decreases the inflammation and make your vessels work better. So conclusion, this was supposed to happen just if everybody was sleeping. So how to minimize results? Like I do, as I said before, silicone before, at least 15 days and 30 days, I would say, after. Carcinine to decrease the glycation or antioxidant, you can pick up the one you like the most. And I do use LED to reduce the inflammation. I love LED. So take-home message, yes, you can have it, rejuvenation. You can relate it from today. It's not more aggressive. It's to do something more intelligent. And you could integrate this strategy, combine technology. Personalize. This is very important. Personalize what you do. It's not that one patient needs everything. And we are moving to something more individualized. It's not that one size fits all, and this makes all the difference. So the future of the aesthetic dermatology is personalized, generative, and more focused on health aging. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I leave here my contact.
Do you have any questions for any of the speakers? Any questions?
Quick questions? Yeah.
I'm a bit interested in the rhythm, circadian rhythm, and the light. I'm thinking we are on shores of the thought that we might need light blocks or sunblock at night than at noon, because the rhythm, we should take the more light in days, not in night. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Duncan is not here, so yes, that's a very good point. Even the cells actually have a biorhythm. That was the Nobel Prize 2017, I believe. So, any more questions? You must have some questions. This was a very stimulating, very interesting. Please.
The question is for you. I do study a lot of melasma. It's very common. You mentioned very quickly that there is some like food and the diet for melasma is just like decrease the inflammation. There is something special.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just show you the Chinese thought of melasma. So they think that it might be predominant liver, very strong. People is very angry very easily and chubby skin, that is a spleen, and the kidney, that is not energy. Kind of people like you see adrenal insufficiency or something. So that's why the Chinese medicine usually they give food nutrition, and they kind of if you have a spleen, people come, they give job tears or something. The liver come, they give like vegetables or something, and the adrenal gland they give some adaptogenic herbs or something that you can find. So in order to enhance, to reduce the too much or to enhance the too low. So that is the way. I just give some sample. And in our Western peoples, we give a lot of supplement. So because when people have a lack of adrenal hormones, they don't have inflammation all over the body. So that's why they take a lot of vitamin. And that one thing that I emphasize is that you take very high vitamin, you take a lot of vitamin, but if you don't have good digestion, you're going to pull it out. It doesn't work. You spend
Especially
a lot of
the
money.
intestine. If you have like your gut is sick, why you give like some supplement? You're
Yeah.
right.
And the other thing is that if you do something very good, you see doctor, the best doctor, you get the best thing, you very coordinate. But you sleep in the bad place, that is drain you because it's not repairing at your sleep and you cannot sleep well. All you have done the whole week is nothing. You have to do something that you have to help yourself as well.
Thank you.
A very important point that you mentioned, Dr. Suthipital, is the synergy. That's the most important, mind, body, consciousness, subconsciousness. That is a very important point because that's the gestalt. That's more than the sum of the parts.
I love your word. For example, I give you something. If the patient has cancer, and the patient's doctors seek for the best theoreticals, what is the best medicine, all the things, because her consciousness, which is 5% of the body, mind, think that it is cure. But the subconscious of the doctor have seen the patient with the cancer, with metastasis to many organs, and at the end, finally dead. That is not congruence. So she will not very survive. The job of yours is how to make the conscious and subconscious go along in the good way. That is what we have done as well. So it's many things in the dimension of life. Life is life. It's not the machine.
Exactly.
Well, I have a question. I'm Professor Rashad from Bangladesh. So all the time we are talking about the harmful effects of UV radiation. What are the benefits of sunlight? It's infrared radiation and the things of vitamin D and in anti-age properties. There are red light in sunlight also. So how can you take the benefit of sunlight, the same red light that is in the sun, and also we need vitamin D, which has got anti-age properties. So all the time we are talking about the harmful effects of UV radiation, so the benefits of UV radiation also. So yeah, any comments on that?
Can you repeat that? We're not exactly sure what
In the
you-
morning sunlight, there is infrared radiation that is red light, which has got anti-aging properties. As for, so, at the same time, narrowband UVB has got vitamin D synthetic properties. So we need to expose ourselves to the sunlight. So it has also got anti-age properties. So we are all the time taking sun protection and not talking about the benefits of sunlight. Any comments on that?
I think it's a process of balance and moderation. I mean, you cannot be in continuous sunlight. It has to be like a balance. You're talking about the biorhythms and the circadian rhythms. Is that your point?
The thing is that if you're exposed to the sunlight, at least 50% of the body surface should expose. But if we wear like this, you don't mention about the sunlight, it's not enough. You know what I'm doing is that I encourage, like you, people to go on natural sunlight is the best. Nature is the best. So just wear short. But my patient in Thailand, they're so afraid of dark melasma skin. So I tell them, you go to อันนั้น20 เหรียญอันนั้นนะถูกเขาเรียกเลยนะ like the cheap things that you have the mask. If you don't want your face to be melasma, so you just put this, but the rest of the body exposed to the sunlight. And it depends on the time, the strength of the sunlight. So if you have a weak sunlight, you need more time. If you have a very strong, you need shorter time. It depends on the time as well. But in Asian, we have less skin cancer, so it should be okay.
We have to end the session, unfortunately. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for participating, and thank you to all the speakers.